Former President Bill Clinton isn't backing down. Just one day after Hillary Clinton publicly challenged Donald Trump over the Epstein files, Bill stepped in and raised the stakes. Hillary had already thrown down the gauntlet, saying if we're going to talk about the Epstein files, let's talk about them out in the open. She pointed out that her name appears 0 times in the documents being discussed, while Trump's name shows up thousands of times. Her argument was simple. If transparency is the goal, then let's actually be transparent. Now Bill Clinton is saying the same thing, maybe even louder. He's publicly calling for a full release of the Epstein files. He says he's already provided a sworn statement and has agreed to testify in person. But here's the catch. He wants to do it in a public hearing. Cameras on, under oath, in front of the American people. According to Clinton, if Republicans on the House Oversight Committee truly want answers, then they shouldn't be afraid of doing this in full view. He argues that holding it behind closed doors doesn't serve the victims, and it doesn't serve the public, it only fuels partisan politics. In his words, if this is about justice and accountability, then let the public see it happen. Republican Chairman James Comer sees it differently. Comer says the Clintons agreed to a standard deposition and that depositions are about substance, not spectacle. He insists that transcripts, video, and audio would all be released afterward, meaning the public would still have access.
All right, she wants to tell you how to do your job. You're saying no.
No, look, she has moved the goalposts millions of times throughout this entire process, then fires out an email attacking me today, accusing me of moving the goalpost, and she's the one who's tried to move the goalpost again. She agreed to a standard deposition. The deposition will be made public. So what she's asking for is already going to happen. The deposition will be videoed. You'll have the audio and a transcript. Everyone in America will have access to it. Every deposition I've ever done in the 3 years I've been chairman of the House Oversight Committee, we have released the transcript and the video and the audio. So what she's asking for is already going to happen. But what she really wants, Sean, is a committee hearing. And everyone that's ever watched a committee hearing in Congress, including the one in the House this week with the Treasury Secretary, knows that committee hearings are more for entertainment than substance. The deposition is for substance. This is a serious investigation. The purpose of the investigation is to get justice for the victims and to figure out why the government failed the victims and who the bad guys were and if they can be held accountable. So this is about the victims. This isn't about the Clintons. The Clintons are trying to play the victim cards. The victims of Epstein are the victims, not the Clintons.
In his view, televised committee hearings turn into political theater, while depositions are where serious investigative work actually happens. So that's the standoff, public hearing versus private deposition. Meanwhile, this debate has reopened a much broader conversation about who should testify, what's actually in the Epstein files, and whether transparency is being applied evenly.
Deposition is for substance. This is a serious investigation. The purpose of the investigation is to get justice for the victims and to figure out why the government failed the victims and who the bad guys were and if they can be held accountable.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many times. Many times.
And the president had some surprising thoughts about former President Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. He was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump when there were 18 people. There was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him.
Some argue that anyone mentioned in a troubling or suspicious context should answer questions under oath, no exceptions. Others say political motives are muddying the waters. There's also renewed attention on past statements and relationships. Old interviews have resurfaced showing Donald Trump speaking positively about both Bill and Hillary Clinton years ago, praising Bill's presidency and describing Hillary as smart and tough. It's a reminder of how dramatically political alliances and rhetoric can shift over time.
Well, I think her history is far from being over. I'd like to answer that question in another 15 years from now. I think she's going to go down at a minimum as a great senator. I think she is a great wife. to a president. And I think Bill Clinton was a great president. You know, you look at the country then, the economy was doing great. Look at what happened during the Clinton years. I mean, we had no war. The economy was doing great. Everybody was happy. A lot of people hated him because they were jealous as hell. You know, people get jealous and they hate you. People don't like him because they're jealous of him. But Bill Clinton was a great president. I mean, I hope we can be so lucky in terms of the economy and in terms of other aspects. I mean, we weren't in wars with two nations. I'm not blaming Afghanistan, by the way, is probably a place that we should be. Iraq, we shouldn't be. Bill Clinton was a great president. Hillary Clinton is a great woman and a good woman.
You said of Hillary Clinton that she was, quote, pretty badly abused during her presidential campaign. Why did you say that? I thought that they roughed her up pretty good. I think she's a wonderful woman. I think that she's a little bit misunderstood. You know, Hillary's a very smart woman, very tough woman. That's fine. But she's also a very nice person. And I know Hillary and I know her husband very well. They're fine people. I thought, and you know, part of that is a rough political battle. I thought she was roughed up. I thought she, and I'm not knocking the other side. You know, you want to win a battle. So if it gets a little bit nasty, it is politics, and politics is a tough game. But I thought she was perhaps unnecessarily roughed up. She took some pretty hard hits.
Beyond the political sparring, there are still unresolved questions surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's death. Reports have highlighted inconsistencies in surveillance footage, internal memos, and security procedures on the night he died. There are also renewed discussions about his former cellmate and the circumstances of their placement together. These are the kinds of unanswered issues many believe deserve just as much scrutiny as political back and forth. And that's really the heart of it. Some people see this as political gamesmanship. Others see it as overdue accountability. But the bigger question remains, if transparency is the goal, should everything be public? Or does serious investigation require private, controlled testimony first? Bill Clinton says put him under oath, on camera. Republicans say follow the investigative process. Trump, when asked about it, has largely shifted focus, even at one point expressing that he doesn't like seeing Bill Clinton targeted. Where this goes next depends on whether lawmakers choose public confrontation or closed-door procedure. Either way, the pressure for full transparency isn't going away. And at this point, Americans across the political spectrum seem to agree on at least one thing. The truth, whoever it implicates, should come out.